looks for the end zone. Touchdown!
And the left jab.
Makes the shot. Goal!
Access 7 Sports. For all of your local sports, tune to Access 7.
We got a player that's going to help us this year and grow as a player for a couple years down the road.
How good is the intel on in these situations, or is it closer to a crapshoot on this day?
I don't know, somewhere in between both those situations. It feels like that anyway. It really feels like a crapshoot leading up to it, because some of it's because you don't want to commit, and say we don't want to commit at a certain time too early, but then you can lose a guy. So it's hard to say. You get this, short videos on them. You can go to Elite Prospects and watch every kid that was drafted, every kid that's playing hockey basically in the world at 16 or 17 years old. So anyway, I think we feel good about the players that Vlad represented. Pavel Paddock, he represents lots of the Russians that come out west. So, and the other guy is interesting. It just sort of, wouldn't say it came together at the very end, but it came together late. He was a highly rated player last year, a year ago past, at this time last year. He was choosing to go the college route at that point. He had quite a few different places in the U.S. college. Things didn't work out wherever he played, and anyway, it's probably a slight bit more of a flyer as far as availability, but a couple people I've talked to, it seems like people are thinking this would be a good opportunity for him, so we'll just see where that goes.
Is he a guy, Emil, that you slot in as sort of a top six or not?
Well, we don't like to, I think we've tried to be here with how we play and tried to be with the team we've had, call it top 9. I say we obviously know where the last couple of years where the center iceman fit, and it's easy to name their lines 1 and 2 or so forth, or 1 and 1A. But we want 3 lines that can score goals. So I'll view it as top 9. But yeah, he's the kind of player that we view as being a productive offensive player.
There's a lot of finish.
Where do things stand with these guys in terms of contracts? Are there any impediments there?
Well, that I don't know. That just has to sort itself out. I don't think there's any impediments with the Russian kid. I think there's some things that have to be worked out with Emil.
In terms of because he played pro, or
no, just in terms of most of these players have contracts, so things just have to be worked out.
Finland's been making quite an impression on the world stage lately, and this is a kid that's had some success on the international stage. Do you feel that you've got maybe a player there that could be a real steal?
Well, yeah, I guess when you're picking dead last in that round or dead last overall, I don't really look at it that way. Or I understand what you're saying, but it's just like, he was in a different situation a year ago, coming off where he played, and for whatever reason, he didn't have a stellar year this year. He ended up not getting drafted, and talking to people, like I said, over there seems to be just a little bit of, or seems to be like a willingness that, maybe a different place might give more exposure, which obviously we'll have lots of exposure here this coming season, and might help jumpstart him or get his career back where everybody thought it was going to be.
Are you going to look at trading for an import who will be more of an impact player?
No, we got drafted too.
Yeah, but down the road, if something doesn't work out, would you look at?
Well, yeah, we dropped Nikolai a couple of years ago there, so but that's not being thought of right now at all.
John, can you talk about the defenseman? Tough to find side. What type of player he is. Is he a bigger guy like Sergei was?
Well, he's a big guy. Yeah, he's a good-sized guy. So I don't past that. I've watched the 3 minutes that we have on him. I think there's more than that of. But I think that's just the best way to describe him. He might move around the ice a little bit better than Sergei. And I've heard somebody say that maybe he's a little bit better with the puck, but Sergei's calling was like had a great stick, and he was premier defender in the league and premier penalty killer in the league. So, it's hard to imagine that this kid will be like that in that area, but maybe he's going to provide something else a little bit more. Who knows?
At pick 60, is there quality there with the Euros that were out, or is it basically you're looking at the best player on the board?
Well, or the player that you feel comfortable with that you have a chance of getting that's going to come. So, that's a lot to do with it. I mean, London took high-end defenseman in the second pick at 50, whatever it was. I mean, that guy's top player. Like he'll be in the top 10 in the draft probably this year. So, every situation is different. We're obviously we're going to take a chance on somebody that is coming 17 or is 17 and might not be coming this year to have him for next year. I mean, I think, who knows? Maybe he's going to go to London this year, but if he comes over, he's going to be a dominant player in the league, in Ontario League, a season from now. So, but that's not our situation right now. We're obviously in it to be a very good team.
Just to be clear, John, you said that the Finnish kid had some college interest, but he never did come over?
He played in USHL a couple of seasons ago to protect his eligibility.
Okay, just didn't work out.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I've heard different things that the experience there wasn't that good, and then I think there was still college interest. I don't really know what happened, other than he didn't come over here to college last year. He played wherever he played, and then that turned out to be not as good as expected.
Is this more so maybe because of where you're picking more so than even some other years? Very much a wait and see what you have until you get them on the ice?
Yeah, I don't know if it's really wait and see anymore. I mean, than it would be normally. I wasn't here when Sergei was drafted. Obviously, you could see right away with him that he was going to be able to play on the team. We had to trade for Pavel to have a couple, and next year I really think Nijov or Knetsov was whatever his name was. I don't have that right yet, but anyway, he had all the ability, but he didn't play at a high enough level in Arizona to step into our league. It wasn't like you're playing bantam there, where we happened to take a kid this year and you just keep the progression going. Like we were expecting or wanting or needing somebody to step right in, and he had the talent too, but he hadn't played good enough hockey too, and so that's when we dropped him there. So, and Philip was a last minute thing, like literally phone call at 11 o'clock the day before the draft last year. And we obviously got somebody that could produce offense for us. So I think, I don't ever want to be picking in the top 10, but I think if you're outside that, if you're a playoff team, I think it's a crapshoot period. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. That's my personal feeling. It's a real bother. You have so little control over this and you depend on other people. I think that's not how you usually do business in hockey. You have to depend on other people that you're not paid. I'm just talking about you. We depend on our scouts all the time. I'm talking about people outside your organization you have to depend on, and that's tough.